Miller figured out he was Jesus over a 1-week period, and he claims he can remember everything over the last 2,000 years, meeting the likes of Plato, Socrates, and even Gandhi, among other important figures. But sadly for him, he even remembers being crucified. And Miller might actually believe what he's saying. He doesn't seem to be treating his followers all that horribly, although he seems to be making some money from it. And a lot of them donated land to be near Miller, so who knows? Before becoming Jesus, Miller was a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses, until he was kicked out for leaving his wife for another woman. Jones, one of the most infamous cult leaders of all time, was the head of the infamous People's Church. This fake Jesus organized a mass suicide of over 900 followers at Jonestown. Members of his church were convinced to give up their money, their homes, and even their children. Jones would also have sex with many members of his church, sometimes on stage in front of the rest of the members. And come on, would Jesus do that? It all ended in Jonestown, where Jones organized a mass suicide, then shot himself. If you've ever heard of the phrase, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid," this is where it comes from. Known as Jesus reincarnated to his disciples, Russia's Sergei Torop commands thousands of followers in the Sayan Mountains of Siberia. The former traffic cop announced he was the Son of God in 1990, following a revelation. I mean, how else is he supposed to convince people, right? But going by the name of Vissorian, his followers believe Torop has come to save the world. His teachings include veganism and aliens, amongst other things. And critics have accused him of brainwashing and embezzling many of his followers, but apparently he has 6 children and 2 wives. Asahara is from Japan and was a leader of the religious group Shinrikyo. He claimed to be the Christ and the Lamb of God. He published a book that said so. He predicted Armageddon and that almost everyone would die except for the few that joined him. He was responsible for numerous terrorist attacks, including the sarin gas attack in Tokyo subway in which 13 people died. He was convicted of murder and attempted to overthrow the government. He remains on death row. In 2011, Hernandez, an unemployed 21-year-old at the time, fired 9 shots at the White House. He did so because he believed himself to be Jesus Christ and that he needed to kill the American President Barack Obama, who he believed to be the Antichrist. A few weeks before the event, Hernandez started telling acquaintances that Obama was controlling people, that he had to be stopped, and he was going to put tracking devices into children. He also sent a video to Oprah Winfrey claiming that he was Jesus Christ, and he is currently serving 25 years in prison. Moon was the leader of the Totally Loony Unification Church. While to his followers he was the Messiah and the second coming of Christ, to most observers he was a leader of a cult. He and his wife were to be considered the second coming of Adam and Eve. At its height in the Unification Church had 30,000 members, although the church claims many more. Moon was nothing like Jesus. He served time in North Korea for bigamy and adultery, and was imprisoned in the US for tax charges. And some church members claim that Moon believed humans must have sex to be purified, and of course having sex with him would cleanse their bodies and souls. Applewhite once posted a message that began, "I, Jesus, Son of God," on a forum. Well, okay then. Applewhite was the leader of the infamous Heaven's Gate cult. Why were they so infamous? Well, you might recall a bunch of people that killed themselves in 1997 because they thought they were going to be picked up by a spaceship that was hiding behind the Hale-Bopp comet. The guys that wore the Nikes? Yeah, that was them. Who knows? Maybe they all flew away on that comet, and it was really Jesus. But somehow we doubt it. Cristo is one of the more harmless people claiming to be Jesus on this list. He hails from Brazil and claims that he's always heard a powerful voice in his head, but didn't realize that it was God until 1978, when the voice told him that he was, in fact, Jesus. And while Cristo is a bit of a celebrity in Brazil, appearing on many TV shows and lecturing in colleges, he has not been quite lucky abroad. He has travelled to over 27 countries trying to spread the word, but he has not been too successful. He's been kicked out of the United States, and has been detained over 40 times because of his appearance and things that he says. Koresh is without doubt a pretty creepy Jesus. While he never actually said he was Jesus, he did claim to be the Son of God, which is pretty much the same thing. Koresh was the leader of the infamous Branch Davidian cult from Waco, Texas, and Koresh married numerous women who were his followers, and was said to have had sex with the many underage girls in the Branch Davidian compound. He was also into having lots of guns before the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms led a siege. The compound burned to the ground, leaving many adults and children dead, including Koresh. This next Jesus comes from the Philippines. Apollo Coboloy runs the Restaurantist Church and claims he is the Son of God. It seems like it might be a tad easier being Jesus in the Philippines than any other places because he has a fair amount of power. How he managed to garner 4 million followers in his home country is beyond me. And it isn't all easy being Jesus though. He's been accused of brainwashing followers, holding children against their will, and being involved in murders of people who refused to sell him land.